Today, we're jumping right into India's new Digital Personal Data Protection Act, or DPDP Act. Now, this is way more than just another piece of regulation. It's a massive shift in how every single organization has to think about and handle personal data. We're going to look past the legal text and really dig into the hidden practical challenges, the stuff that most companies are completely overlooking. And this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. The DPDP Act isn't some far-off thing you can put on a roadmap for next year. The clock has already started. If you handle the data of any Indian citizens, this is your reality right now. It is a present responsibility. So to really get our heads around this, we have to start with the why. What's the whole point of this law? What is the core responsibility it's actually putting on your shoulders? At its heart, the DPDP Act is all about protecting people. We're talking about your employees, your customers, your patients. It gives them new rights over their own information, like the right to get their data fixed or even completely deleted. But the real goal, the big one, is to stop harm before it even starts. Because when personal data gets out, the damage is very real. We're talking identity theft, financial scams that can ruin lives, and just a total loss of trust. So let's be clear, this isn't about filling out forms. It's about preventing actual harm to real people. And believe me, the consequences for failing are huge. Of course, there are the massive financial penalties, enough to seriously hurt any business. Then you've got the government investigations that can just drag on, draining your resources, and the damage to your reputation, that can be catastrophic. But honestly, the most important consequence, the one that should keep us all up at night, is the direct harm you cause to the very people who trusted you with their information in the first place. So here's the absolute key takeaway. Your responsibility follows the data wherever it goes. It doesn't matter if that data is sitting on your main server, on an employee's laptop, or in an email attachment sent to a partner. Wherever it is, it has to be secure, you have to be in control of it, and you have to be able to audit what happens to it. The location is totally irrelevant. It's all about control and accountability. And that idea of continuous responsibility brings us straight to the single biggest headache in DDPD compliance. And it's the one thing that most organizations are just not ready for. I'm talking about the unstructured data problem. Okay, so let's break this down. On one side, you've got your structured data. It's the neat and tidy stuff, right? All organized in databases, centrally managed, easy. But then you have unstructured data. And this is the messy, everyday stuff. The Word documents, the PDFs, the spreadsheets, the emails with attachments. Both types of data are covered by the DPDP Act. But let me tell you, unstructured data is a million times harder to control. It's the Wild West of data. So this leads us to the one question that every CISO and compliance officer needs to be asking themselves right now. If our compliance is going to fail, where is that failure most likely to happen? And here's the answer, plain and simple. Unstructured data. This is your biggest point of failure. Why? Because it's literally everywhere. It gets copied, emailed, downloaded, saved to desktops. It spreads like wildfire. And almost none of that activity is ever tracked or audited. It's a total compliance black hole. Now, the typical strategy is just to hope for the best. We train our employees, we ask them to be careful, we rely on them to remember to classify sensitive information correctly every single time. But let's be real. Your DPDP compliance strategy cannot depend on the perfect, flawless judgment of a busy employee who's juggling 10 other priorities. That's not a strategy. It's a recipe for disaster. This total reliance on people doing the right thing creates something called an enforcement gap. And it's that terrifying space between having a great security policy written down and actually physically enforcing it on every single file every single time. Think of it like this. You've got great security on the outside of your building. Strong walls, locked doors. That's your network security. But once someone downloads a sensitive document, it's like they've walked out with valuable blueprints. Your building security can't follow them down the street. That's the enforcement gap. Your protections don't follow the file itself, leaving it totally exposed. So how in the world do you close that gap? The only real way is to take human error out of the picture as much as possible. To actually meet your DPDP duties, your security controls can't just be suggestions. They have to be automatically enforced by the system itself. And auditing can't be an afterthought. It has to be built in from the ground up. And this is where the idea of compliance by design becomes so powerful. It means you stop hoping and start building. You use technology that's designed specifically to solve this problem. So let's take a look at how an automated solution can actually tackle this unstructured data nightmare. This breaks it down perfectly. First, the system automatically finds sensitive data inside your files, no human needed. Second, it instantly classifies that file based on rules you've already set. Third, and this is the game changer, it enforces your controls at runtime. That means right at the moment someone tries to open, copy, or send that file. And finally, it creates a perfect audit trail of every single action. Compliance becomes unavoidable. So what does enforced at runtime actually look like? Well, it means you can get incredibly specific. You could say for this sensitive HR file, people can only view it. No copy, no paste, no printing. Or for this financial report, it can't be forwarded outside the company. You can even make access expire after 24 hours. And every single one of those actions, or attempted actions, is logged. And here is the bottom line. When a regulator comes knocking and asks how you're protecting data, you don't have to give them vague answers about employee training seminars. Instead, you hand them a clean, machine-generated, indisputable audit log that shows every action taken on that data. That isn't an explanation, that's proof. And that brings us right back to where we started. The DPDP Act isn't about ticking boxes on a checklist. It is a fundamental responsibility. It's a responsibility to protect people from harm, to actively control how their data is used, and, critically, to be able to prove that you're accountable for it, 24/7. So the real question you have to ask is, are your systems actually designed to do that?